Good morning, everyone. You are speaking to Leon from Preferred Solutions. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar on Sage Business Cloud Payroll Professional. We thank you for your time, and I hope that everybody is keeping warm and safe. We are very excited to do this webinar on this wonderful true cloud-based payroll platform with great functionality. Our presenter for today is going to be Pierre Badenhorst from Sage South Africa, and he's going to run you through a presentation of Sage Business Cloud to explain how it works and all the functions thereof. Pierre, I'm giving over to you.
Great. Thank you, Leon. Welcome to everybody that's joining us this morning to looking after the payroll professional and see what cloud technology we have. Just before we actually start with the presentation, I would just chat a little bit in general about cloud and cloud environment and what this actually means for us as a business and also for you as a business on moving forward. So I think a lot of people we're always listening to what is cloud and why people saying that we need to move to cloud. But I think that COVID-19 did play a huge factor in any type of business that's now considering moving their operations to a cloud platform to enable them to still be mobile or still be able to operate as I want to say, the new norm, where people are working from home and people are not as moving around or going to the office as everybody was planning. And then also I think it's going to be for the foreseeable future that it is going to be a new norm. So for us, why cloud? It allows us to access the data at any time and anywhere. As long as you've got a proper internet connection, you are able to still continue working as per normal. It's safe and secure, so the cloud-based systems is very similar, hosted by the guys that does your banking platforms security. So it needs to be secure. It is a hosted environment, and it's cloud-based. So hacking and that kind of stuff is a bit of a problem for anybody that is trying to get through to clients' data. Legislative compliant via invisible updates. Now this is for me a nice thing as well. Previously, where you needed to download an update or you need to make sure that you run an update at a specific time, especially now where there's so many legislative changes around payroll with the TERS changes and everything around COVID that was implemented in such a fast pace, is for us guys to also ensure that clients are on the latest version to enable them to do their payslips compliantly, as it's a seamless update. I mean, at the end of the day, it means when everybody's sleeping, we can actually quickly run our changes on the system, and then next morning, when you log into the site, then everything's updated and you can continue processing as per normal. Guys, so what I'll do is I'm going to run it through a PowerPoint presentation, and then at the end of the PowerPoint presentation, I will hand over to Amanda, and Amanda will just share a screen so that we can do a live demo on the system, so you guys can see more or less the print screens that I have just in a live company environment as well. Okay, if there is questions that you guys would like to ask, there is a chat functionality that you can go and post your questions on. And what we'll do is we'll just be looking at the time itself. So what we've done in the previous webinars is, if you do post a question, you might not get an immediate reply on your question. What we'll do is we'll compile a questions and answer sheet that we will then send through to everybody on email, so that everybody's got a same view of the questions asked, and you guys can actually focus a little bit more on what you see now on screen, instead of trying to type all the answers and trying to get your questions on there. Okay. So, access of the companies. I'm just going to talk a lot in regards to how it works on Pastel Payroll, for example, or any other type of system, just to give you of where you are and what the system looks like and what it can do compared to your existing systems. So, for example, if you look at a Pastel Payroll client, this would be your file open screen, where it shows you a list of all your companies on there. And then also The payment cycle, is it a weekly, a monthly type of environment for your processing of your pay slips, and in which period you are. And then also, for example, like your type, where you can see it's a live company, a dormant, or a history. So for us, a dormant company is almost like our demo company, where you can actually go and put in figures on pay slips and that kind of stuff to do dummy pay slips. You don't have to do that on your live company. And then a history company is where you, for example, make a copy company of your previous financial year's history, so that if you need to go review pay slips or do recons or any type of reports of previous financial years, that you've got those companies to go and pull through any details. Now you'll see there's a column called flags, and what this allows us to do is that if, for example, there is a new update, let's say around COVID-19, that changes was affected, it will show you a bit of a flag on there that you can actually go and see that that you can actually see that there is something that was changed. On our company setup, this is where you will go and add in all your company details on there. What's nice about this is that it's got a lot of features around your percentage of annually salary for bonus. So what this allows us to do is you would be able to go and put in what is the percentage that an employee would receive as a bonus compared to his current salary. So at the end of the day, if, for example, you do a bonus run in December, that the system will automatically know exactly what the value is concurrent to his salary, what should be paid into the bonus run. I think on a Pastel side, it's called a special run, where you would go into that special period where you can process bonuses as additional pay slip. So this makes it very nice that you can actually go and add those details automatically. At the bottom, you'll see a couple of buttons there, company blueprint, the next available report, period info, and then tax rates. So tax rates is just going to show you a calculation of your current tax tables that's being used. And then, for example, like the company blueprint will automatically dump all this information on these company setup screens into an Excel template that you can use if you need to pull through any details. As you can see, the ETI setup can be done on these details around the ETI, and I think also going forward is that all the COVID changes and effect changes would also be displayed on there. Now, miscellaneous is where you would set up company details and company specific details. So, for example, how many working days in this month, is the calendar days that you actually work on, the number of weeks, etc. Those types of details and date formats that you can use as well. A nice feature for me is on the miscellaneous number 3 page is where you can actually put in your company logo. So going forward is that you can actually have your company logo displaying on your basic reports that you print out of your payroll system. So for example, if you do a monthly analysis or pay reconciliation type of report, that it would automatically have your company logo embedded on there as well. Or you actually have the option also as running it as a watermark in your documents for added features in the system itself. There is the pages where you can actually go and change a bit of the fonts around it, the colors on the fonts, all those types of details. And then a nice feature for me at the bottom where you can see the last page, it shows print total number of employees in the company. And what this does is that if, for example, you print a report of a pay reconciliation, it will reflect how many employees at the very end of the report, how many employees was included in this report, and you can add in a detail where it would print through or list the user that created this report, and then you can actually have additional lines added onto the report to go and show is a report that manually needs to be signed by an authorizing person or something to allow payments to be done, as an example. Now, your company access control or user access. So what this allows us to do is for each individual user that you would like to grant access to the system, to allow them to either make changes where they have full view of specific details, and can they edit specific details in the system itself. So for example, where you can just have a data capture, somebody that would just go and capture all the details of employees on the system, but would not have access to go into a payslip, for example, or add any financial information or make any amendments on financial information. Same principle applies where you can have a HR manager or somebody just to be able to them to run reports and that kind of stuff, but not affect any changes on the system as well. This is just an example of the user access report. So it's quite a nice report that's got a detailed listing of all the users created in the company. In our case, I only have one user, and that user is called Super. And as you can see, he's got access to almost everything, where it's got full control of all the different listed options that's available for access user control. Routing codes. So instead of going through all the different file menus, so for example, where you would go and select the employee master file and then zoom for a specific employee, etc., the system allows us to either put in a code or a number that will jump to a specific page in the system itself. So for example, if you want to go to a payslip, it's simply by actually just going and adding in a specific code or a wording code that will allow you to jump to that page immediately. You've got this little icon there on the top left. It's at the bottom of each screen. So you can just go and type in something there and jump between the different screens in the system quite fast and effective. As you can see, this is our layout of the employee master file. And what this allows you to do, very similar like any payroll system, where you would go and capture the employees that you're going to pay, the initial details or personal details. And what it allows us to do is you can add your personal details, address details, or email address details where you would like to send a pay slip through to the employee. You can add in the employee photo, and that photo can be edited onto the pay slip. So at the end of the day, when you print pay slips, you can even have the employee's little photo displayed on his pay slip, his payment details, all those types of details. Now you'll see on the top right-hand side, there's a couple of fields there. It's job grade, job title, category, RSC code, department, pay point, zone code. Now, for Payroll users, in our case, we look at a pay point, a cost center, and a job code. Now, this system allows us to have 7 additional fields. So you'll see there, for example, the job code, the job title, and a pay point. These actual field headings can also be changed. So if it's something where you want to go and change it to a cadre or a job description or anything like that, you can go and change it. But what's nice about these fields is that if, for example, you're running a bit of a cost analysis, but you will always stuck on a payroll side where you can only do 2-level, I want to say almost like a 2-level drop down in regards to job costing. This system allows us to do a 7-level drop down in job costing. So you can, for example, go and say, I want to see the salaries of my sales guys based in Cape Town in the specific department, and let's say add it in a separate level. For example, companies that's using Evolution Accounting or 300 Accounting, this is a nice feature in the sense that your segmented ledgers can have a much larger drop-down level of fields that can be written into your payroll journals that you would like to import into your accounting system. Where sometimes on for example, a Sage payroll or a Pastel payroll, you are only limited to 1 or 2 fields that you can actually add into your journals itself. Additional features for me that was quite nice, and what I do really like about this is that if you want to do additional payments or you want to do split payments into specific bank accounts. So in the scenario where I get a salary of, let's say, 20,000, but I want to pay that into 3 multiple bank accounts, that you can go and set this up so that at the end of the day, it actually goes and pays your 20,000 across the board. Let's say 10,000 into bank account 1, 5,000 into bank account 2, and another 5,000 into bank account 3. Additional master file options. So when it comes to moving of employees between companies, this is always a bit of a tricky situation when you look at any type of payroll system, because you still need to have financial reporting or financial history depending on how the employee move in the company or even between different companies. So here you've got three different options when I want to say you want to move details around. So either you can only move employee details, meaning that you leave the existing master file in the company, but in a new company, you tell the system, copy everything that's related to Pierre Bardner's master file into my new company. So you don't have to go and recapture those details. Or you can do a full transfer, meaning where you say, take all of Pierre's history that of his previous paid financials, etc., on his payslips as well as his master file, and move that for me to company 2. Or partial transfer, where you say only take Pierre's personal details on his master file and what is currently his current values on his current payslip, and move that for me to the new company as well. And that's quite simple. We go and select the individual employee and you say, please transfer from company 1 to company 2, and immediately it moves all those types of details on there. Also allows you to modify employee number if you, for example, made a mistake or you need to change employee codes or employee numbers, that you are able to do that. Additional cool feature for me is list query of various numbers. So for example, if you want to print a list of duplicate ID numbers, duplicate bank details. And what's nice about this is that you can run it either in an existing company, so meaning you only want to do a validation check on a specific ID number in the existing company, or do you want to do it across multiple companies? Where you can actually go and run those types of reports, or you can actually run a query to go and say, where you need to search for a specific ID number, where you can actually just run a report and say, please find this ID number across all my companies. And the system pops out to say for you, ID number XYZ is located in company BYA, for example. Okay. The employee leave, what I really like about the system is that when it comes to the leave formulas, it's such a powerful tool in the way that the formula engine has been written on the system. So for example, let's look at quite a technical one. So our company, for example, is saying you are allowed to accrue 25% of your annual leave up to the end of the financial year or up to your end of your 12-month contract. As soon as you reach your 12 months of annual leave, you're only allowed to transfer 10% of that value into your next financial year. Once that value is then transferred into the next financial year or the next, let's say, leave cycle, you need to take whatever leave that you did carry over within, let's say, 5 months from the new cycle starting. If you don't take that leave within that 5 months period, it will automatically then remove that balance that was due to you, and you actually start losing those leave. But what's nice about this is that you can actually go and create these different lines where, for example, you'll see, oh, one says your BCA annual leave. So that's your normal accrual. But then you've got line 5, which is carried forward BCA leave. And then you've got line 8, which is leave lost. So that automatically gives you a track record of how the employee's leave was accrued, carried over into the new leave cycle. And then if you lost that leave, how it was then transferred onto that code so that the person can keep track record of everything. Because sometimes it does come down to where a system only does everything on one line. And at the end of the day, when you're trying to figure out, okay, but where did the leave now disappear to, etc., it's sometimes quite difficult. This is actually allowing us to keep a detailed track record on line per line type of reporting. It also allows you to stop negative leave processing, meaning that you can set a hard, fast rule on the system to say, an employee is only allowed to go into a 2-day negative leave. Anything above that, stop the processing of that type of leave. So it will automatically tell you, sorry, but you cannot process leave for this employee, as this employee is now going over the 2 negative day limit set in the company rules and regulations. So the pay slips, very similar to what you've got on your different types of systems, for example, like Payroll, where there we talk about a default pay slip. This is a summary screen. And then you've got your normal earnings, deductions, benefits, and company contributions and salary cost screen. So you'll see there the earnings summary screen and your deduction summary screen. And what's nice about this is it shows you your current period value, your previous month's period value, and then also a year-to-date value of the current financial year. And then if you look on the right-hand side where it says tax, the previous month you can see it's displayed in a negative value in red. So it shows you any negative calculations as a red value on your screen to actually make it a little bit easier to see if something is happening on the employee's payslip that you should maybe take aware of or be aware of. Payslips. So what this means is that you can actually go and create all the different types of transactions on the system. So it does come standard with a lot of the codes that you would get on all your different types of normal systems, but you can actually go and create your own ones on there. And you can go and create when should it be taxable, should UIF, for example, be calculated upon it, should STL be calculated upon it, all those types of details you can set up per individual code itself. Now, on your earnings screen, what's nice about this is that you can actually go and import, again, any type of hours or rates that the employee worked. And it actually makes it so much easier where you can actually have different rates per a transaction. So if, for example, on this screen, where we're looking at the overtime at 1.5, you can actually go and set up almost like a rate table for the specific code of overtime at 1.5, enabling you to go and say, if you want to import hours, is peer going to be paid at rate 1, rate 2, rate 3? Again, this for me is a very cool function when we're looking at job costing or projection of costs on projects, where you can have, for example, a rate linked to project A, a rate linked to project B, C, D, and E, and you can actually go and select which project you're importing the hours for, and that rate then already is predetermined, and you can actually automatically pull through those details on the employee's pay slips. A cool feature for me is this employee history report. So this is actually a button on the employee's pay slip. Now, if you click on the employee history button, it automatically brings up the screen. It shows you all the different transactions, and it's got the option of allowing you to see all the different months on there. It's very similar to if you guys have Payroll users, it's called the monthly analysis report. But it's not a report that you have to run. This is actually just a button on the payslip screen where you click on it and it automatically goes in there, and you can actually go and see either the earnings, the deductions, company contributions, the perks, the calc screen, and own screen. Now that own screen option there at the top, what allows us to do is that if, for example, you need to go and create formulas in the system. So let's say, for example, you've got sales people working for you, and you need to go and calculate the commission that needs to be paid to a salesperson according to his target and also his achievements on a monthly basis. That own screen allows you to go and set up those specific fields that you can then go and capture on an employee. So you can put in Pierre's target for the month was 100,000 and he achieved 80,000, meaning that he's got 80%. And then according to those values, you can write your formula to go and calculate the commission that needs to be paid. Now, when I used to work on Payroll, it was always a bit of a problem creating those types of formulas because you need to have those fields reflecting either on a payslip or on a user-defined field on the master file. And if you, for example, used it on the pay slips where you want to import those details, it always reflected in your reports and that kind of stuff. So it was a bit of a messy play to get stuff like this done. Now, this own screen doesn't reflect anywhere. It doesn't reflect on your pay slips, neither on reports or anything like that. So it's really like, to keep it simple, it's an Excel spreadsheet where you can go dump info and values on there that you can use in formulas that would not reflect anywhere on the system to make it, I want to say, a cleaner environment to actually do your formulas in. There you can see the calc screen. So for example, how the system calculated specific calculations. So we've got a adult contribution, a child contribution, vitality contribution, all those types of details. Again, you can go and see it according to the specific months itself. Now, when we talk about definitions, is we can actually go and create your own definitions or descriptions that you would like to actually go and calculate on the system or display on the payslips itself, where you can have a English version, Afrikaans version, whatever type of version that you would like on there, or rather translation. And then should BCEA be calculated upon it? Should it be retirement funny income? What's the IRP5 code that it needs to reflect to? All those types of details that you can set up if you go and create your own codes, for example. Employee linkage, it's very similar to what we've got on a payroll side as an employee profile. So it creates profiles, and on that profile, you can go and tell the system what codes or descriptions that you want to pull through to that specific group of employees' payslip, and have those codes automatically appear on the payslips for you just to go and calculate or add in the values itself. Methods and formulas. So this is, for example, just a screen to show you all the formulas that's listed under our earnings, our deductions, our calculations, and our special fields, allowing that you, for example, go and click on a specific formula, and that formula would then be open to go in and make amendments on those formulas. Again, this is only for formulas or codes or descriptions that you want to create on your own, not the statutory ones. For that, unfortunately, nobody's got access to go and, for example, go and amend their own tax formula or UIF calculation formula on the system itself. Okay. Now, batches. Quite a unique feature for me is that you are able to import all the batches as what you would get on any other type of system. But the nice thing about this is that you can actually import your batches either by employee codes, a specific department code, the pay pointer category, a job code, or payslip code, the description. And you can also go and look up or import according to employee code or a surname or initial. So for example, on the right-hand side, you'll see the layout very similar to what a person would get on a payroll side. We've got your different codes, and you can actually pull through your employee codes, your transactions, etc. But this one works a little bit different in the sense that you would not go and specify a transaction code on there. You would actually nominate the column to be a specific code limit, or I want to say specification. So there, for example, you can see line 1 is going to be column A, our employee code is going to be column B, column C would be any overtime at 1.5, and column D is going to be any overtime hours at the rate of 2. So it makes it quite simple that you can actually go and create this massive spreadsheet with all the employees listed on there, and you can have the hours in column A, sorry, in column B for overtime at 1.5, your hours worked, let's say normal in column C, your overtime hours worked for a rate at 2 in column D. You can actually import that whole batch simultaneously, where sometimes you need to do a batch for only your overtime hours worked at 1.5, only your normal hours worked. This you can actually have on one big massive Excel sheet that you can import into the system as well. The batch transaction import, added feature on there is that you can actually go and import multiple batches simultaneously. So if, for example, you would prefer to do only a batch for your normal hours, only a batch for your overtime at 1.5, you can import all those batches simultaneously instead of doing it one by one. You will then see on the system itself, if you look at the bottom right, that little yellow block that's got like a warning sign on there. That's one of the flags notifications. So as soon as you open your company, you would have that little flag there that says you have an unupdated batch, meaning that you did import a batch, but you never approved that batch to be updated onto the payslip itself. It's still sitting in your open batches. Very similar to what you have on a Sage 50 or a pastel side when you import your batches, but you haven't updated them to your ledgers. Additional features that you can actually import fixed or financial. So fixed is very related to your employee information. So you can go and import the employee master files, for example, if you do have a bit of a churn in your employee staff and you've got a lot of either seasonal workers or employees coming and going out of the company, where you want to create a layout and then import all those batches into the system instead of going to capture all those individual employee master file details. Now, what's nice about this is that you've got what I refer to as a Flexi layout. What this allows us to do is that you can actually have a list of all the different fields that's available in the system. You then go and select the system to say, I want to pull in my company number, my employee code, my first name, let's say ID number, and then let's say the bank account of the employee. You can create that layout then in the system or in Excel, and then you import only those specific fields into the master file. So what this means is that at any stage you can go and make amendments on employees' master files by simply including or importing a batch. So if you need to change the bank account numbers, it's not that you need to go and change it manually by going into each individual master file and changing the account number. You can simply create an Excel sheet, say there, this is my employee code, this is my company number, that's the account numbers, and import that specifically into the system. Same principle applies when you want to export data. You can actually go and simply go and select to create a Flexi export, where you choose the employee code and, for example, a ID number, and automatically the system dumps that info in Excel, where sometimes it's very limited, where you've got fixed import and export layouts. This allows you to go and select what do you want to import, what do you want to export, and automatically just pull those details out of the systems. Global increases, so it allows that if you want to do let's say an annual increase for your employees, you can do that either as a global one, meaning everybody in the company, for example, gets 10% increase on their basic salary, or do you want to go and do it according to a percentage, or is there a specific group of employees that you can do the changes on? Again, looking at those 7 fields that you've got listed on the master file, where you can go and select, I only want to do a increase on my pay point located in Cape Town, for example, as an update. Then integration. So I just want to quickly show you guys here. So when you set up your integration into your accounting system, it's actually quite unique in the sense that you can go and generate or create your own layout format. So depending on what type of accounting program you're using, and I'm not talking about specifically Sage products, this can even be a non-Sage accounting software. You are able to go and write your own layout for your journals that would then be able to import into that accounting product. So for example, you would call up our earning of line 1 for salary, and you would go and specify the debit or the credit, the debit and the credit amount, or account number. And on the right hand side, you can see the structure editing characters. So this allows you to go and add in specific details in your ledgers. Now, sometimes when it comes to segmented ledgers, where you've got like different levels, to say my salary is going to a main account and then 3 sub accounts, you can actually have different characters embedded in your journal that allows you to import that into the system. There, for example, you'll see also, once you've set up your details around it, that on the right-hand side, it will show you each individual transaction, and it will show you what's the debit account number that's currently set up, and what's the credit control account as well set up. And you can go and see it either according to earnings, company contributions, deductions, all those types of details on there. So it's quite unique in the sense that you can have a full view of where you are exporting your journals to, and where, for example, either a sub account or even a main account might be missing. So it's a cloud-based system, so automatically whatever is done on the cloud gets saved immediately. But it does add an additional feature in there where you can go and, for example, make like almost, I want to say, a hard backup, where you tell the system, please process or perform a backup for me, and then it gets hard dated, stamped. As you can see at the bottom where it says 16 May 2019, a backup was made at 15:55. So when you open your company, you would have the option to say, I want to go back to a specific period, and depending on when did you make your hard backups. Otherwise, it's just going to open whenever you, I want to say, were on your last screen or process when you made a backup. So a lot of the times when you're busy working on your desktop system and suddenly there's a power cut or load shedding or something like that happens, it sometimes creates data corruption. In our case, it's cloud, meaning it's live, meaning it doesn't interrupt. Yes, you'll lose your connection to the cloud, but your data will still be, I want to say, running actively in the background. So that at the end of the day, when you do your load shedding is over and you get your power back, you just log into your system again and you continue from wherever you did end up working on your side. There's just examples of the payslips itself. And again, it allows you to go and change or edit these types of payslip layouts so that if you want to put in a logo or even an employee picture, that you are able to do those types of amendments or changes. It allows you to print multiple payslips. So at the end of the day, you can go and say on a A4 piece of paper, I would like to print 2, 4, or 6 payslips on one single sheet, saving the company a little bit of expenses when it comes to the amount of payslips that's printed. Now, the human resource side or the personnel manager. Now, if you are existing payroll user, that you would know that you have to create a separate company on the HR module, and you need to switch between those two different modules, in essence, payroll and HR. Now, the personnel manager, or let's call it HR side, is embedded inside the payroll feature. So you won't need to move between the different systems. It's merely a drop-down menu option that you would go and select. And then it's got very similar features to what you have on a payroll side, where you can have interviews or actions, meaning like where you want to create notes or create employee master files on the HR side, but it's people that you don't pay. It's just merely almost like a CV that you want to keep a track record of or a history on there, so that if interviews or something does open, that you already have a bunch of people that you can start looking at interviewing. Appraisal works on a balanced scorecard method. So very similar to what you have on payroll side, where you need to go and set up your KPAs and KPIs, and according to that, you would then go and score your employees. This disciplinary process works very similar as well, where you would actually go and set up your rules and regulations around the disciplinary. So if, for example, a abuse of telephone occurs, what is the steps that should be followed? Is it first a verbal? Is it then a written warning? Or do we go into a dismissal hearing, for example? Then you've got general, which is where you just want to make notes or keep the scanned documentation of specific details. So if you want to have a copy of an employee's driver license, that you can scan that and save it back onto his file. Grievances that was lodged and needs to be handled by the company itself, the process around that, and then also your training, your history, plan versus action. What's nice about this is that you can actually create a planned training schedule. So I can say for all my sales guys, I would like them to go on sales etiquette, email etiquette training. This is the dates that it's scheduled, etc. And then at the end of the day, you can go and upload those documents and link it to the I want to say the plan that you've created. At the end of the financial year or any period that the company would like, they can run a comparison to see this is what we planned for the year ahead, And after the year, this is what actually happened, to go and see where was the shortfalls in regards to any planning that was occurred for our training. For qualifications in education, very similar, where you can go and create all the different education and qualification certificates or details around that. And you can then go into each individual employee's details and then go and submit or scan and save those other hard copy certificate or any type of details that you received from training or education that the employee went on through the year. As well as medical, where you can put all through medical details, next of kin type of details, those type of things that you can actually go and add in on the employee's master file as well. The items issued, very similar, that if you've got, I want to say, keep track record of any items that's issued to employees, i.e. being a laptop, a cell phone, a hard hat, a pair of boots, a overall. All those types of items that's granted to employees during the employment period, that you can keep a detailed track record of when it was issued, what was the cost, is there a photo or even an invoice that's linked to any type of detail that you can actually go and link to that employee's master file. So if, for example, at the end of the day, when an employee is being terminated, you can pull a report to show these are all the items that the employee needs to go and submit back to HR before final payment, for example, can be created. You can also go and set up, for example, reminders, and this is stuff where you've got like a medical certificate or a checkup or a safety certificate, or those types of details that you need to keep track record of, to pull a report at the beginning of the month to say, these are all the guys where we need to go and get their health checks done because they are expiring in the next month or in the next 2 weeks, etc. Those types of details that you can pull through into the system itself. When we talk about the employee self-service, so this is also an additional module that can be added onto your base system. The employee self-service is again, it's a cloud-hosted environment that Sage runs on behalf of the company. So it's almost like a portal where all your employees get access to. And if that employee logs into the system, this is what they will see. They will have the option to go into my inbox, apply for leave, apply for travel, apply for claims, personal details, leave balances, approval structure, and what's on today. So in essence, this is a portal where employee can actually log in. They can see their normal basic details, and you can actually go and restrict the access of what the employee can do. So for example, if an employee wants to go and change his banking details, he can't do that. He needs to still submit, let's say, a bank statement or something for the HR department that will go and change it on the system. Or you can actually allow the employee to simply go and update their banking details on the portal, and that portal then sends the information to the payroll system to say PR has changed his banking details from, let's say, ABSA to FNB, and these are the details where his salary needs to be paid in at the end of the month. You can also go and specify the leave. So what you can do is you can say to the system, only allow my employees to submit online for annual leave, not for sick leave or any other type of leave. So what the employee would be able to do is, if they log into the system and go and apply for leave, they'll see the options to select the leave type that they want to apply for, the dates of which they would like to apply for, and then the system would automatically pull through how many working days is it that they're requesting. And you also have the option of adding any documentation. So what's nice is that when it comes to sick leave and sick doctor's notes and hospital notes, those types of details, is you're actually forcing the employee that if they need to apply for sick leave, they need to immediately attach their doctor's certificate or sick note or hospital note or whatever type of note it is onto the system. That now automatically gets saved on a digital platform, so that at the end of the day, it's not that the employee needs to now go and submit these documents anymore to either HR or to their line manager. Those documents automatically get saved onto the system, and HR has a full view of those documents that is submitted. It makes it just a little bit easier when it comes to maintaining all those types of documents on our online platform. Now, these documents are all linked to a specific workflow that needs to be created when you set up the system. So I, for example, can go and create a workflow where if, let's say, Amanda is submitting her annual leave, that annual leave form then automatically gets sent into the cloud, and I, which is a direct line manager, gets an email out of the system to say Amanda has applied for leave. These are the details. I need to log into the system to either go and approve or decline the leave. Once I, for example, go and approve it, Amanda gets an email saying Pierre has approved your leave. Now it's going to either a second person that needs to approve or decline it, or if it's not that complicated workflow process, it immediately goes through to HR, and she gets one email that says Pierre approved your leave. It went through to HR. That will process your leave at the end of the month. At the end of the day, these systems now, you can go and set up the synchronization between the systems to say, I want to import any leave that was submitted and approved at the end of a Friday or once a month. I can actually just go and sync my data so that it pulls through all those leaves that was processed or applied for and was approved into the leave, into the payroll system, and then automatically gets updated on their pay slips, and the days and everything gets deducted from their pay slips. This is a view of a manager's view where they would be able to go and see all the employees that is under their responsibility, and it will show you almost like an Excel bit of a type of screen where you can actually go and see all the different types of leaves that was submitted, declined, approved, and it's got a bit of a color coded around it. So if, for example, AL stands for annual leave, if in this scenario you can see all the annual leave that was submitted was declined because it's in red. If it's green, it means it's been approved and it's been processed. If it's yellow, it means it's still in progress, meaning somebody needs to either go and approve or decline any type of details. You can export this sheets as well, and you can also go and select which period would you like to go and see for. This is quite a nice feature to have when you are planning, for example, leave over the December holidays, that if you need to maintain a specific amount of employees as a workforce in the company, that you can actually go and say to these guys, please can everybody submit their proposed dates. Then the manager can have a proper view, and the manager can then have, for example, individual discussions with people to say, hi Pierre, I've seen that you've submitted for the whole of the month, but unfortunately I need you to be in the office on X, Y, and Z days. Please can you go and amend your leave, and then once everybody's happy, then you can actually just go and approve, and then your leave schedule and everything around that is automatically done for the December holidays. Guys, I see I actually almost run out of time, so Amanda, if you could please just quickly go in, or Leon, if you can just quickly allow Amanda to start sharing her screen.
Pierre, screen is shared. Can you just confirm that you can see it?
I can see. Thanks so much, Amanda. So you
Perfect.
can just launch it for us. So guys, there you can see the company listing screen of all the companies that's now linked to Amanda's profile. So in her case, she's got a whole list of all the different companies there. Amanda, in my case, just open for me the first company. So this is the screen, the open, I want to say the main desktop screen or dashboard screen. So it will show you a bit of detail around how many employees you've got. And then at the bottom, you've got shortcuts for Amanda. Now, those are amendable, meaning that you can actually go and drag these around, or you can actually go and remove specific shortcuts on there. So if, for example, you're a data capture, you only want to see creating, add new employees, change employee details, those types of things, but reports like exporting your ACB data or reports and that kind of stuff, you can remove all those or hide them, so that at the end of the day, it makes it a little bit easier for everybody to access the data, specifically in the beginning when there is so much detail around that and moving around in the system. If you go for me to employee, and then just go there, change, sorry, just quickly go back one. Then just go for me into the employee and then add or change employee, that's fine. And you can select any employee once it's visible. So this is our master file screen where you would go and capture all the specific details of each individual employee that you need to pay. So Amanda, just go through the different tabs. So go for me to address details example. So guys, there you can see all the different details that you can go and capture, and you'll see there just a little bit above payment details and analysis details, you've got little icons there. It's a picture, so it makes copies the details on there. If there's any attachments that attach to the employee's master file, so let's say for example when the employee starts the employment contract, that you can actually go and save on there, and if you want to print details, that you are able to go and print those details for the specific employee out of the system itself. Amanda, just go for me then to payroll and payslip, and then just a payslip information. And there, Amanda, just jump for me through all the different types of tabs as well. So guys, summary details is where all your details are combined for your earnings, your deductions, your taxable benefits. And then you've just got your individual sheets where it only, for example, shows you your earnings and your deductions and your company contributions and those types of things as well. Amanda, just click for me on the salary cost option. Guys, in essence, what this does, it's almost like your cost, I want to say your pay reconciliation, where you actually see only your earnings and your company contribution. So in essence, this is the expenses that's linked to each individual employee that would run through to your payroll journals on the accounting side. Amanda, just click for me there, sorry, at the top, go to equity. No, go for, sorry, it's skills. Just look at the skills drop down. So this is specifically linked to that each individual employee. So what you can see is that the ease of use of moving between your payroll and your HR functionality. So automatically your equity and your skills and everything is linked to the one specific employee. So it's not that you need to go into your HR module and then into the specific fields. Everything is listed in the drop-down menus itself. Okay, Amanda, just save it for me and exit and go back to your normal dashboard. I'll just go to company. Company maintenance is where you would actually just go and put in all the specific details of the person, either, for example, your SaaS contact. If SaaS, for example, needs to contact somebody from the company, this is the person who's going to be responsible for all those types of details, etc., etc. Amanda, just jump back for me to the dashboard, the main open screen. Go for me to skills. And then CETA specific reports, just hover on that line for me. So guys, what this also have is that it's got a lot of CETA specific reports that's required for your returns. So all the different CETAs has been listed on there, and it's got a specific layout required according to those CETAs, so that at the end of the day, you can pull that detail out of the system itself. And it actually is quite nice in regard to that this stuff has already been catered for and already been added on there itself. You'll also see there at the top where you've got your self-service, and then I just move on to the self-service one for me. This is where you would be able to go and create a link and the synchronization option between the different payroll system and the employee self-service, where you would be able to then go and import all your employee details, and you would set up your website via this page so that the employees would be able to get access to that. On that employee self-service option is that each individual employee would be granted a username and password, and then you have full control to actually go and specify to the system what the employees can see and cannot see on that employee portal. Just to maintain a bit of, I want to say, control over that stuff, because otherwise people might end up adding and changing stuff on there that automatically gets affected on your payroll system itself. Guys, I think we ran out of time, and I know I saw a couple of questions and stuff pop up there. Like I said, what we'll do is we'll compile a question and answer sheet on all the questions that we did receive, and we will then send it through to everybody on there. I think also Leon and Johan and everybody at Preferred Solutions will make contact with you guys on an individual basis to also speak around any concerns or queries or questions that you guys might have as well, just to assist you guys in this, I want to say, this option as a cloud solution. I would like to thank everybody for attending the session itself, and I hope that you guys actually saw a bit of how cloud is changing our payroll environment in everybody working from home, but still be able to run a business smoothly and efficiently. Thanks so much, Leon. I'll hand back to you.
Well, thank you so much, Pierre. We would like to thank you for your time and your detailed explanation of Sage Business Cloud Payroll Professional. Thank you also, Amanda, for your input. Guys, if you have any inquiries regarding the product, or pricing, or functionality, please send us an email on sales@prefsol.co.za. Or you can just reply to the invitation email. We will send you an email also with the recording of the webinar within the next day or two, and then have those questions you sent to us replied to everyone. Thank you so much. We wish you a wonderful day further.